know you guys have come out with some high performance dock lines, which isn't sexy conversation, but there's a lot of thought that goes into dock lines. Kind of take me through, your product line and what makes them different than everybody else.
Dock lines are one of those things that we actually learned a lot about them when we started investigating whether or not we wanted to bring a product set of lines to the market. There are so many options that are out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to kind of get lost, and I think it depends on what people are looking for. If you're bargain shopping and you just want to get the cheapest line you can, then what we're talking about now doesn't really matter. But I think in those instances, you're buying lines every year, and there are a couple of problems with buying lines every year. Number one, you're buying lines and you're throwing them away, right? Where are the lines going, right? And so
but in a worst case scenario, if the line breaks or it doesn't do the job, that's a bigger issue than have to buy it every year.
Absolutely, which is another consideration, right? So in addition to just rolling through lines every year and replacing them, which is you've got the environmental impact of a bunch of lines going in a dumpster in a landfill somewhere. In addition to that, the way the lines are actually constructed impacts the way that they're interfacing with your boat when your boat's tied up to a dock. Our lines happen to have effectively two different lines, and then there's a central line that runs through the middle of these, right? And then there's the outside braiding of the lines. So we have a nylon core in the center of our lines, and then in addition to that nylon core, we have this braided poly, right? And so you can see the braids there. And what ends up happening in that combination of elements is if your boat's tied up to the dock and it's pitching or rocking, or you get waves that come through to cause it to do that, instead of having a solid, inflexible line, when your boat pivots away from the dock with that type of a line, you're gonna get a very large shock on your cleat.
Yeah.
And the first time that happens is probably not an issue, right? Like, boats are built, especially Ranger boats like this, they're built really well. But over time, that's gonna have an impact on your boat or potentially on the dock itself. And so having the combination of the nylon core with the braided poly around it, we minimize or reduce some of that shock, because the lines have a little bit of give in them that we feel like is an improvement over a line that doesn't have any kind of give in it.
Hey Corey, I actually have a box here, and I love the fact that you actually have a guide here for the boat lengths on, what size line do you actually need?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we thought about the product packaging here for the lines, we thought this was a great opportunity to provide a little bit of at the point of purchase education for folks on what kind of line size should I buy? Because you're not standing there, I'm not standing there. And this is really something that, as simple as it is, it's amazing that it's not necessarily right there while you're buying your line. So you can see for boats up to 27 feet, we'd recommend something 3/8. And again, this is all a matter of understanding the situation you're gonna be using the line for, because there may be instances on a 27 or a sub 27 foot boat where you'd want a little bit bigger of a line if you're in really, really choppy water or something like that, and you just want a little bit of extra, a little bit more diameter on your rope. But 28 to 35 feet, you're looking at a 1/2 inch, and then above 35 feet, you'd transition into that 5/8 inch line.
So if you're in the market, this is actually the packaging that you'd be looking for at the store. Now you've got a lot of different colors. You've got a gray here. You've got a teal. You've got I call that chartreuse or high vis,
high vis yellow.
How many different colors do you have?
So there's 5 different colors. We've got black, gray. We have a red. We've got this high vis yellow. We've got the teal, and we have that gray there too.
Wow. A lot more to lines than you thought.
A lot more to lines than we ever thought that could possibly exist, but yes, now we know probably too much about lines.